how can we help people lower their interest rates and save money on their loan? But get this, without having to refinance. So if you bought a home and your interest rate is above 6.875, this episode's for you.